Hi, this weekend we celebrate Communication Sunday when we reflect on and pray about communications, obviously, about proclaiming the good news. You know, when we say communications, it's always best to start with what is it we're trying to communicate, and not communicating me, not even communicating the church, communicating Christ. It's about evangelisation. Christ leaves his disciples at the ascension with one very strong message: go therefore and make disciples of all nations. There's a kind of urgency about Christ in his earthly ministry. For those 3 years when he goes from place to place, spreading the good news, preaching the gospel, preaching the kingdom, there's an urgency and an insistence about him. People want him to stop and say, no, stay with us. And he says, no, I'm going here, I have to go here, I have to go here. And then before his ascension, he passes on that urgency to his disciples and expects them to do the same thing, and in turn then expects us to do the same thing. So when we speak about evangelisation and when we speak about communication, it's always worth remembering that the first actors in this, the principal evangelisers, are you. It's every single Christian is called to go and make disciples of all nations. If people are to hear about Christ, if they are to be introduced to Christ, it's not usually going to be from me, it's going to be from you. You're the ones that encounter people that haven't met Christ or have fallen away from him, in your workplace, in your community, in your school, sometimes in your home as well. And so you are the communicators. Your witness and your words and your actions and the practice of your faith is the way that we communicate the gospel to others. And I'm going to tell you where I've just come from to kind of give an example of that. I've just come from a place called Generation Hope. It's an outdoor place, an outdoor centre. We went with a couple of our high schools from Galloway Diocese, and within that there's lots of outdoor stuff and zip slides and things like that. But also there were a lot of young people there who were giving their witness to their faith. We're talking young adults in their 20s, and so confident about their faith and so happy talking about it and not embarrassed talking about it, and talking to these kids who are about 11, 12, 13-year-old, and just, you know, the gospel is radiating out of them. And they showed what it is to be an evangelizer. Sometimes we're a bit shy, and yet they were the opposite. They were so confident in proclaiming their faith. That's what I would ask you to be confident about your faith, and if you do that, then you become an evangelizer. And there is no substitute for you as someone who communicates the gospel to those around you. There is no substitute, but there are supports, because there's more that we do. As well as the individual witness, as a church, we always use the means of communication we have for centuries. Whatever communication is available to us, we use in order to evangelise. And we do that within our parishes, and we do that as the whole church in Scotland. And part of that will be our Office for Communications. But the Office for Communications isn't just going to be called that. It's the Office for Communications for Evangelisation, because that's what we communicate, and we always have to remember that. We're here to preach Christ. So I'm not going to say too much about that just now. It's going to be light on detail, but heavy on ambition. Because over the next few months, you're going to hear more about what we're going to do across the church in Scotland, using the media that's available to us. We use the classic media. You know, we use print, we use radio, we use television, and connect with all these different media, but also using the internet and using social media. Sometimes we're a bit scared of those things, but if we use them well, we can project our message out so that others can hear that might not hear it in any other way. Don't know if you know this. A church is a hard place to come into. If you're a stranger, it's not easy to come to. You might think you are the most welcoming people in the world, and I'm sure you are, but for a stranger coming into a church, that can be so daunting that they just won't do it, won't come through those doors. If through social media we can reach out to someone and they can kind of put their toe in the water a little bit and have a wee peek into our church through different media, that might be the thing that then draws them in, that they start from there, that kind of safe place, then make that step of coming in and coming to our church. These are how we use communication to evangelise, to reach out to others. So I'm going to invite you to do a number of things. The first thing is what we always do, we pray. We pray for the spread of the gospel. I'm going to ask you to commit to be confident in your faith and be an evangeliser in your own life. But then I'm also going to ask you, no surprise there, for money. Because if we have this office, we do need to support it. I ask your support for that, so that as a church together, we help to build on what we already have. We have your witness, we have our parishes, we have the whole church in Scotland. We have the sacraments and the proclamation of the gospel. We can do more and more if we use the means available to us. So please do, if you can, support that. If you can't, it's okay, because the main thing we do is we pray. We pray for each other and take on board that, the message from Christ and that urgency from Christ. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations.